Hello, another day, another palette. Again, currently sick. I'm going to try and edit out as many of the coughs as I can. But today we have the ColourPop Stranger Things palette. And it's this really cute old school TV. This is really some nice, cool, like, nostalgic packaging. It goes very much with the 80s theme, I believe, of Stranger Things. I'm not, I don't want to say I'm not a fan, but when I say I'm not a fan, I mean, like, I don't watch the show. I think I watched the last season that came out because my husband's into Stranger Things, but I personally do not really watch Stranger Things. But I was shopping for a friend, and I saw this palette, and I was at Ross. And this palette is $8 at Ross, you can see there. And I think I think when this came out, was it like $28 or $32 or something? Something a lot more expensive. I'll check back on other people's videos because I think this was the launch that came out last year, last Christmas. This was ColourPop's Halloween launch, and this is the palette that they came out with. Wasn't interested in it then, but since I was at Ross and I saw this for $8, I thought for $8, I'll give it a try. I'll give her a try, okay? So I picked her up for $8. I'll take her out right now. Everything's very textured. It has very nice packaging, definitely for sure. You can see the Netflix name is on it, so I'm sure that Netflix wanted to make sure that the packaging was really nice. It has like this nice, like just this gleam. It's really cool, and it goes all the way around. You can see there it has the sheen, and then the back it's like stickers that almost like that are crinkled and coming off. It's quite cool, and all the names, of course, have everything to do with the show. I do know that they do play like D&D because I guess they're supposed to be like the nerd kids or something. So in terms of the outside, it's very, very nice. There's no mirror inside, and then I think is this called like a Demigorgon or something? I think that's what it's called, but it's got the monster in there, and it's upside down. I believe there's a place called the Upside Down in the show, I'm not sure. And then the name is also upside down, so that's kind of funny. But I guess you could also hold it like this if you wanted to. But you got the name there and the monster, and it's upside down. And here we have the actual palette. And now that I'm looking at it, it makes a little bit more sense. So up here, you have your lighter shades, and I'm guessing this is like supposed to be representative of the children and Hawkins, which is I guess the name of the town. So you have your lighter, warmer tones up here, and then down here, which I guess would be the upside down, you have these beautifully blue, grungy shades. So when we're looking at the grungy shades in this palette, we're definitely looking at those bottom 8. It kind of reminds me of the Friday the 13th Glamlight palette. And I think the bottom shades were my favorite, just because they were darker. They did provide a lot more kapow. They felt a little bit more in line with a October launch, but I think it's cool that they also gave these top 2 rows for maybe people who aren't as adventurous into these blues, into the upside down. And you kind of have here, at least, just a very general kind of autumn look, which would be your yellow, your orange, your red. Just a very simple look. You got green over here, which I feel also would go very well with the orange or the red. I really love this row as well, just straight down. This is also a look just right here. That was also a really nice look. I was rewatching some reviews from other beauty gurus about what they wanted to say of this palette, and I think we all kind of agree that there's something about this palette that just doesn't fully work for a lot of these beauty reviewers. What they didn't like was that there was too many shimmers. They didn't like the fact that there was too many shimmers. They didn't like that there was a glitter in here. Like that, I guess this was not for them. I personally love that there is a lot of shimmers because I'm a shimmer girl. What I think doesn't work for me is the fact that there's 3 very light shades in here and not much in the middle. So you have what I would argue is 4 light shades, mattes, and then it just goes straight into these deep dark ones. There's nothing else really that kind of buffers it in the middle. You go straight from something very light to straight into something dark. I don't know. That's I think maybe that's what's kind of throwing me off. Because in terms of the formula, I thought the matte eyeshadow was solid. I think that the shimmer formula in here is really solid. It's really pretty. But I don't know. I think it kind of grew on me from yesterday's look. I did my last looks, and I just was not, there's just something about this that just isn't exciting. Like, this is, listen, I love Makeup Revolution, okay? There's a lot of people who shit on Makeup Revolution and don't like drugstore level makeup, but I like Makeup Revolution. I think it's an affordable drugstore brand. And this feels very Makeup Revolution, especially this color story. It's just, it almost feels like just a lot of color just kind of thrown at the wall and seeing what sticks. The formula, I think, is pretty standard. I don't remember how much this originally came out for, whether it was $25 or $20 or $30. That feels like way too much. For $8, I'm not mad at this. The shades over time, like I said, everything here is pretty standard. Like, it works, okay? It doesn't work awful. It doesn't work, like, super great, but it works. You know, you get what you pay for. I think $8 is a really good, it's a good price. Throughout the day, the shades do become lighter, and it turns into this really pretty kind of almost like watercolor look on your eyes, and it does look very nostalgic. And there was something about it after looking at myself at the end of the day in the mirror again, where I was kind of like, it almost reminds me of like a watercolor kind of Christmas look almost. And I don't know what I got from that, and it kind of made me feel a little nostalgic, and it made me like this palette a little bit more. I'm having trouble figuring out whether I want to give this away, but I think I do, because ultimately there's nothing too crazy in here that makes me really want to keep it. I'll say that my favorite shade in here was 1983. It's this glitter right here, which is crazy because I would never believe I would want to say a glitter is my favorite shade. But my favorite shade is this glitter. It applied to the eye very nicely. I applied it just straight with my finger directly onto the eyelid. I didn't need any glue. There wasn't any like fallout, because you always need to be careful with glitters because there can be fallout and irritate your eyes really badly. It is glitter. Always be super careful with glitter around your eyes. But I didn't have any itchiness. I didn't really have any fallout, and I was just really like taken back because that was not what I was expecting. I also wasn't expecting to really like just this simple look. I just went all the way down. And I just thought it was just very, you know, classic and pretty. And I know that I have these shades in probably 10 other palettes, but I just really like this layout, and I thought it was just really pretty. It was a really pretty look. Let's get to swatching. Let's swatch. Just to show you all what I mean, let's do Chief of Police, and let's do Waffle Thief, so you can see how light these are. And then let's just do the Gate. On the eyes, they kind of, like I said, they're almost like watercolor. That one kind of just almost disappeared. And I think usually it might go back in. You see how light that is? Got a little bit more color in that, but it's like kind of pigmented, but not fully. This palette's very good, I think, for someone who wants to start using color, but isn't like fully wanting to like really make that big leap. So you got some color in there, but it's still very, you know, tame and subdued. You're not gonna get something crazy. I have shades like, let's go over here. I think this is another glitter shade. And these shimmers, I think, are really, really pretty. I'm just kind of wondering, like, look at those. Yeah, that one is a glitter, and it has like a dark blue base. But look how pretty that applied. That applied really pretty. There's hardly any left on my finger. Like, these shimmers are really nice. I don't know, maybe I need to keep this. I feel like I need to play with this a little longer. But I'm kind of also like, it's hard to describe how I feel about this palette. I feel like it has a lot of potential, and I feel like that's kind of what's holding me back. Like, I don't know if I want to give this away, because I know for sure, like, this blue, this kind of frosty blue, I have this. I know I have this somewhere else. I have this in at least 2 other palettes, so I'm like, well, I don't need this shade. I know I have a frosty orange somewhere, so I'm like, well, I don't need that shade. I know I have kind of like a sage with a slight gold shift, so I'm like, I don't need that one. I know I have it somewhere. And this palette just very much almost screams like there was a palette, there was like some sort of circus clown Makeup Revolution palette that I reviewed, and I ended up giving that one away. And it's kind of giving me that. This is my favorite shade. This is 1983. It is super, super duper sparkly. So sparkly. Oh! It reminds me of, like, it's got this crazy green, pink, orange, gold shift. It is a glitter shade, but I think it is so pretty, and I was able to apply it on my eye and have no irritation, so I love that. There's something about the sparkle in it that just kind of reminds me of like Christmas lights. I don't know, maybe the thing that's throwing me off is the color story, because I keep talking about Christmas and it's supposed to be fall, and this was a Halloween release, but nothing about this release is Halloween. These shades up top here could be fall because they are grungy, muted blues, but even then, like, I think this color story to me kind of reads a little bit more fall into winter, and it's more of a December palette, honestly. Like, when I really think about it, I feel like this palette is, I think, very December coded, because that might be the thing that's throwing me off as well. Like, would I have enjoyed this palette more if I was using it the beginning of December? You know what I mean? At the end of fall, the beginning of winter, right before Christmas, because then I got some warm colors down here, but majorly it's these darker, grungier blues. And I do think of blues when I think of winter. Let me know down below what your thoughts on this palette is. Would you keep this palette? Like, what do you think of my theory that this is kind of giving more like 80s Christmas than it is Halloween or autumn? Or, I mean, I haven't watched the show, but does this color story feel true to the Stranger Things universe? Because I haven't watched the show, but I feel like I could get y'all to agree that maybe this isn't the best color story to represent the show. Do you see the show when you see this color story? Because even as someone who isn't watching the show, I feel like I can't. I think we got some solid formula and shades. I just don't know if maybe this was the theme or the time to try it out. But let me know what you think down below. You'll have a great day.